Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jade and today I am doing spring reading recommendations video for you guys. So this is just a list of a couple books that I feel like you guys need to read this spring. Some of them are for like holiday, not holiday, like they remind me of the season, and other ones are just really good books that I've read recently. So I'm going to start with my physical copies of books I have, because quite a few of these I listen to on audiobooks. But the first one is The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. This isn't like by any means like an amazing one-of-a-kind book. I think it's just really good and it's a quick read and it's just a really nice book to lose yourself in a day. Like when it's a nice spring day, it's starting to get a little bit warm out and you can go outside and read and you can get lost in a world that it has like a really kind of like fantasy feel. And I just feel like, but it's like a light fantasy, like it's like a contemporary fantasy, like it's not like a world with so much political issues and stuff. It's things that are dealt with in one book and it's not a big commitment, and I just feel like that's kind of like a nice spring read. This is about two twins, brother and sister. Are they twins? Actually, I don't know. They're brother and sister. So Hazel and Ben, who live in this town that has a mysterious boy sleeping in a glass coffin out in the middle of the woods. And people know of the existence of fairy, and this town kind of lives like on a border between their lands almost, so they have a lot of interaction with the fairy folk. And there's a lot of animosity towards them, and they're not too involved, but there are some like negative things that happen. So basically, it's just about their lives, and they both really kind of fell in love with the boy in the glass coffin, and he was a big part of their childhood, and then one day he wakes up and it changes everything. And I just really like it because it's just a one and done sort of story, but it has a really cool fantasy element. I just very much enjoy it. The next book I have is The Trials of Apollo by Rick Riordan. This is the first book to the this is the Hidden Oracle. This is the first book to the Trials of Apollo series. This book is amazing, and I feel like a great spring read because it's also kind of like a fast book to get through. It's a nice book to sit down on a warm day as well. That's kind of what I imagine for these two. But this book takes place after the occurrences of the Percy Jackson series and the Lost Hero series, where Apollo is being punished for a role that Zeus thinks he played in all of the bad things that happened in the Lost Hero. And he is sent down to Earth in a mortal form with no powers, and he's a 16-year-old boy named Lester Papadopoulos, and he ends up going to Camp Half-Blood and being sent out on a quest to find and recover his lost oracles, because all 5 of the old oracles of the world have been taken control of by evil forces and make it so that no one is able to communicate, like no demigods can communicate. Cell phones never worked in general, but they can't use iris messages, they can't do anything, so it's really affecting their communication ability. The next books I have are all books that I listen to on audiobooks. So a couple of them I'm actually buying and getting this Wednesday, which is really exciting, but I just think you guys need to read them. The first one I have is Sadie, and that is by Courtney Summers. This is actually really recommended to be listened to in an audiobook because part of the storyline is a podcast format. So it's about this girl who ends up disappearing, and you find out why she disappears and what she's going after, and you hear her part of the story. And then the other part of the story is the guy who's running a podcast trying to find her. So he's retracing her steps. He doesn't want her to just be another missing girl. So it's sort of like how those two stories end up. It's like following after each other, and you understand more and more about the mystery and what's happening as it goes on. There's definitely some pretty dark themes in this book, so there's definitely some trigger warnings I would read about in case you have any trigger warnings, but I really love the book. It's a 5 out of 5 for me. The next book I have for you guys is The Demon King by Cinda Williams Chima, and this book I feel like you should read on a day where it's snowing like it is today, when it's supposed to be spring, and it was literally 70 degrees yesterday, but now it's snowing. Literally. And I filmed this video twice. because I actually deleted it the first time, and the first time I filmed it, it was also a day where the previous day was 70 and now it's snowing. So this has happened twice. And I feel like this is a book you should pick up on one of those days, because it's like a dark, epic fantasy. You get very involved in the world. It's very in-depth. There's a lot of political dramas, family dramas, like everything. And it's just a book that you want to like be ready for. It's not a light book, but it's a very good book. I'm so mad. It's snowing so hard. You guys want to see the snow? Let's just look at that real nice snow there. Yeah, it was 70 degrees yesterday too. So let me just there we go. Yay. Also, I redid my bookshelf last night because I got bored and decided to redo my bookshelf, so it looks a little bit different. This Demon King is about two people. One of them is the princess of the land, and she is experiencing some political problems. So I don't even know how to describe this book. It's just, there's a lot that's happening. So the other perspective is a boy who is a member of the clans, and there's kind of like a divided sort of world going on. There's the clans, which practice healing art, like healing, kind of like earth medicine sort of, and then there's wizards who have destructive magic. And there was this thing called the Breaking that happened 10,000 years ago, I think, or 10,000 years ago, that caused the world to almost end, and the clan was able to put a stop to it, but in return they greatly limited wizards' abilities. So now there's like kind of animosity going on, and the wizards currently are trying to like get some more control back, it would seem. So there's sort of like that war going on, but then there's also wars individually, like in the characters. Like the princess doesn't want to be pampered. She wants to learn more about the world. She wants to know about the kingdom she's going to rule, and she doesn't like seeing what her mother is doing and what's influencing her mother. And then the boy's point of view is he actually was a street lord. He was really into the thieving and crime area, and he got out of it for his family, but the world just keeps trying to drag him back in, and eventually their stories collide in a very unexpected way, and it's really, really good, and I can't wait for the rest of the series. I've been hearing so much about how I need to read her books, so I finally picked them up, and they're definitely something that everyone should read. The next book I have to talk about with you guys is, of course, Furthermore by Tahara Mafi. This is one of the books I'm beginning on Wednesday. This is my favorite book I think I've read in a long time. It's a middle grade. I definitely think it'll make it to my end of the year. This book is just one of the most beautiful and whimsical worlds I've ever read. There's something about middle grade where the magic is just so beautiful, and I really like the innocence that's incorporated in it, along with the really dark themes. Like, this book has darker themes than talked about in any of the other novels I've read, and it's a middle grade, so I find that very interesting. But it's about a girl who is in a world full of color, and she is completely white down to her eyelashes, her hair, her eyes, and all she wants to do is fit in and feel normal. And she also just wants to find her father, who ended up disappearing many months ago, and she wants to go on a quest to find him. And it's coming up to this day where all the people in this land, like, when you turn 12, you show your power. So you perform your power for everyone, because everyone has their own magical ability, and then you get a rating by the elders of the village, and they give you a quest to do. And all she wants to do, she's been looking forward to this for years, and she wants to do it, and she basically wants her quest to be to find her father. And she gets dragged into someone else's quest, so it's pretty interesting. I love everything about the magical world and just everything in this book. The next book I have for you guys is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Tyler Jenkins Reid. This book is just a really, really good book, and it's super easy to fall into and to want to continue with. I listened to it on an audiobook, and I really enjoyed it, but it can definitely be read in both ways. This book is about a famous actress who decides that she finally wants to have her autobiography written about her, when for the past like 40 years she's been completely off media. She doesn't take pictures or anything like that, so she finally decided to have this journalist write for her, and you get the point of view of the journalist. And the journalist, you learn about her life as well, but basically a lot of it is the unfolding of the Evelyn Hugo's life, and it kind of follows her 7 husbands because her entire life sort of revolves around, like, each stage of her life is almost marked by a husband, which is really interesting. And it's just such an intriguing story of trying to be an empowered female in the, like, early, like, from like 1920 to like 1960. Like, it's not an easy thing that she was trying to do. So it's just really, really beautifully done, and it's so interesting and immersive, and I loved the book. The last story I have for you guys, I think you should read this spring, is Heart of Iron by Ashley Poiston. This is just a really great sci-fi book. Like, I loved all of the sci-fi elements, so if you guys are into sci-fi books, here's a good recommendation for you guys. It's about this girl who works on a thieving crew on a ship, and she is looking to find this other ship that was, these are in outer space, spaceships. Find this spaceship that was lost so many years ago after this event happened, because she needs the reward money that would come if she found the ship to help fix a part in her best friend who is an automatron, and he has a part that's gone wrong and she needs to pay to get it fixed. And it's actually really interesting that, so this huge event that happened like 20 years ago was that all the automatrons somehow rebelled and killed the king and queen and like the princess, and it's presumed that they like killed the whole royal family. So now there's something called the hive mind, where they're all like, they lose their sentience and they're controlled by the hive, and she doesn't want him to get caught by the hive, and she wants to fix him. And then there's another point of view of this noble boy who also wants to find that ship for the information on it for another reason, because it actually was his father's ship, and he wants to see if he can find his father. So their paths end up crossing, and there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of space fights, and it's just really good. And I just liked the sci-fi elements. It was just a really fun, interesting read. But that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my reading recommendations. I hope you guys pick some of them up. I think they're pretty good. But I love you all so very much, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye-bye.